There's been a lot of conversation, discussion in the media, television, social media, newspapers about something called the Great Replacement Theory. What is that? Well, the Great Replacement is a conspiracy theory that is promoted by white supremacists, not only in this country, not only in the US, but around the world, especially Western European countries, that asserts that white people are purposely being replaced with immigrants, migrants, Muslims, people from Africa, refugees from across the world. And it primarily affects Western European countries and the United States. Here in the United States, the greatest fear is really fear of a Black planet, a fear that Black people will outnumber whites, Black people, and other people of color. And therefore, African Americans most recently, but also Asian Americans recently, and in some cases, Latinos in this country have been targets, primary targets in recent years, months, and weeks and days of those who believe in the Great Replacement conspiracy theory. The term was actually coined by a French writer named Renaud Camus, and he wrote this theory, the replacement theory, as recently as within the last 10 to 12 years. He's written a couple of books about this belief. But the belief is not new. It goes back decades, it goes back centuries. And there were actually books written to promote this theory in the late 19th century. And then in 1916, there was a particularly significant book written by a lawyer, an anti-Semitic lawyer named Madison Grant in this country, in the United States, who wrote a book that really that promoted the idea that that white people were in danger of becoming extinct. Genocide was occurring, white genocide, and that's a term that's been used today. But his book in 1916 was called The Passing of the Great Race. That book actually later would inform the creation of Nazism by Adolf Hitler. That book also, and others, would inform what became the eugenics movement in this country and elsewhere that claimed that Black people were inherently inferior. In fact, any person of color was inherently inferior to white people. That thinking has fueled white supremacists, has fueled racism, has fueled all of the manifestations of racism, structural inequality, social injustice over time. And it is rearing its ugly head again now, here in the here and now, at a greater rate and greater frequency than perhaps ever before. It's something we have to pay attention to. It's something that we have to push against by telling the truth, speaking the truth to the white supremacists and others who carry out these acts of racism and acts of violence, these murders in the name of the defeating this so-called Great Replacement theory.